All right, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. Did you guys enjoy your spring break last week? Yeah, all right. Did anyone go anywhere cool, or you guys just like stay at home and just sleep in until like 2 in the afternoon? You went to your house. I heard Ohio. Where'd you go? Iowa, that's what I heard. Okay, very fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching basketball, or who knows what you guys are doing. That's all right. Well, I'm excited for tonight. I get to talk for Casey tonight. I led this a couple weeks ago with middle school, so I'm really excited for our topic for tonight. It is about having a calling or a career. So basically, what job are you guys going to pick as an adult? So the goal for tonight is for you to determine what your lifelong career is, and you're not allowed to change that. No, I'm just kidding. That is totally not true. But tonight will be a really good night for you guys just to dive in, because I know a lot of you, especially juniors and seniors, have been asked by many people, oh, what are you going to go to college for? Oh, what do you want to do as a job for the rest of your life? You know, very big life questions that they're going to be asking you. So we're going to talk through that a little bit tonight, how you guys decide that. But I'm really excited. We're nearing the end of our school year with you guys, so we only have one more normal Wednesday night for you guys up here as Live at the Loft, so that's in 2 weeks for you guys. And then prayer concert. We're going to end the year with our prayer concert. We were so excited for that. We had our first practice on Wednesday. It was a really fun time just to see the team come together and just kind of prep and have a culmination of just a worship experience for you guys, just thanking God for what he's done this school year, what he's done in your lives individually, what he's done in your friends' lives around you, and just celebrating his goodness and his faithfulness to all of us, and specifically to you, and how you've grown spiritually this year. So we're really looking forward to that. I'm going to open this up in a word of prayer, and then we're going to get started with our evening. So go ahead and bow your heads with me. Dear God, we thank you so much that we get to come to this incredible building, God, where we are just surrounded by so many leaders and staff people who just love on these students. God, I pray that tonight is a night for these students to just kind of take a deep breath, just enjoy some time listening to some of their leaders up here on the stage, and just hear about their background and their history and how they just thought through what you have gifted them with, God, and how they are using that in their career and how they've just shaped their lives to give you honor and give you glory, God. I just pray for the students just to be attentive and to set aside all the distractions of life that they currently have going on and the things at school, things at home, God, and I just pray that you allow them to focus on the words of our leaders and the words from your word tonight, God, that we can just encourage them and equip them to live a future that is in just serving you and giving you honor and glory with the gifts that you've given all of us individually, God. We lift all these things in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen. All right, guys, so as I mentioned, we are actually going to have a panel of some of your leaders come up here, and they are going to help me with tonight's lesson, which I'm really excited for. So could I have those 4 leaders go ahead and come up on stage here? So we have Jim Fitzsimons, we have Tara Root, we have Jim Root, and we have Heidi Hagemeyer. So let's bring all of those. Yep, give them a nice round of applause, everybody. I am so glad that they were willing to say yes and join me up here on stage. So yeah, go ahead, take a seat wherever you would like. Oh, look at that. There you go. You guys can move closer together if you'd like. Oh my, okay. Be careful, these chairs are dangerous. I don't know if you guys have realized this. If it collapses, I really apologize. So yeah, each of you have a microphone there. You guys might need to turn that on. And I'm so thankful for you guys coming up here tonight. Just sitting and chatting with the students. You know, I feel like I'm in my living room. You know, it's kind of nice just with a bunch of eyeballs watching us. But before we get started with our talk for tonight, I want to do something fun with you guys. So we are going to play a Would You Rather game. Audience, you guys can join us as well. So this is just going to be a Would You Rather gross edition. Super fun. I mean, why not? Of course. You don't have to be good at it. You're just sharing what you would like to do or not like to do. I don't know. So we'll kind of go through each one, get you guys' opinion on this, and then we'll get started with our serious aspect of the evening. So yeah, Tyler, let's see. What is our first one here? First, would you rather? So would you rather find 1,000 spiders in your attic or find a person in your attic?
Easy person.
This is easy.
All right, let's start with Jim over here. Yeah?
There is probably at least 1,000 spiders in my attic right now. So
Oh,
that's
no.
I think
Jenny,
that's
how do
easy.
you feel about that?
Yep, that is gross.
Is the person alive or dead?
I don't know. They could be alive or
Either
dead.
way, spiders. All day.
Spiders.
Person, definitely person.
Heidi would prefer person. Tara?
Definitely spiders.
Definitely spiders.
I would
I can
definitely
do that.
go with a person.
All right, Jim's going with a person.
Yeah, easy to get them out.
I don't know. Would it be? I don't know. It might not be.
There's some good discussion going on out there. Henry,
know.
what do you say?
Lots of ideas.
Person, I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Okay. What if it was Henry?
Henry, I would love if Henry was in my attic.
Oh my goodness.
Eric and I
love
want
that.
Henry to come live with us. So does Reed.
I think that's an invite, Henry. Go ahead, pack your bags, head over there. All right, let's take a look at our next one. So would you rather go without a shower for a month or go without brushing your teeth for a month?
I've already been on adventure. I've done both of those.
Adventure is only 1 week.
It felt like a month.
Oh my goodness. All right, Jim,
Go without a shower, I think.
a shower.
Yeah.
All right, okay, yeah.
Maybe teeth brushing.
Okay.
Only he
I'm
would
gonna
have to pay
I'm
for
gonna
that.
I'm gonna join her in that because she's the only one who would
Yep.
care that I hadn't brushed
Oh
my
my
teeth.
goodness.
So if she's not brushing her teeth, I'm not brushing her teeth. We're good.
Teamwork.
Okay.
All right.
Wow, that's
There we
just
go.
gross.
Elise Meisner, what do you pick? You don't know?
You get both then. You have to go a month without both.
Everybody's afraid I'm going to call on them now.
I know they are. They're all scared. Oh my goodness. I don't know.
Baker
I feel
Hand,
like
what about you?
I feel like you have mouthwash. Couldn't you
He
use
too
mouthwash?
has been on adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just use mouthwash.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
totally fine. Mouthwash is not a substitute for brushing your teeth, though, okay? That is clarification, all right? Do not do that. Let's see what the next one is, Tyler. All right. Eat a clump of hair or drink a cup full of sweat.
I'm definitely going with a cup full of sweat.
Yeah.
I don't think I could actually get a clump of hair down my throat.
I do the hair with a bunch of water.
Hair
I
with
don't
a
know.
bunch of sweat.
There's
okay.
a lot
Sweat
of
water?
contaminants in sweat.
Really,
But
what is sweat but salty water?
I mean,
You
that
get
is
your
true.
electrolytes.
I do
With
that. Is it
skin cells
electrolytes?
and-
Salty water, dude. You're gross.
Yep. Sweat all day.
Heidi, what was yours?
Remember that time I had to eat that pumpkin pie that had ghost pepper in it, Jamie? And then you guys gave me like salt water, which was mainly salt. It was like really thick.
I
so
don't
I'm gonna go
remember
with
this.
drinking it. Yeah, I remember, and I've never
Are
forgotten.
you sure this just wasn't like an evening at your house?
No, it was not. I know I don't cook well, but it was not an evening at my house.
Yeah. I think I might have to do the cup of sweat. I feel like that'd be easier.
Hair is, that would be disgusting. I couldn't do it.
I hate
Yeah.
when I even get just one hair anywhere near my mouth. It's gross.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, all right, you guys heard that here. All right, so what's our next one, Tyler? Have really long toenails, okay, or have really long nose hairs.
toenails because you can hide them.
Could you hide them though? I don't.
How long are the toenails? Do I need to wear clown shoes?
Like then, yeah, like you gotta wear different shoes.
Size
Okay.
bigger.
All right,
I don't
Tara's
know.
gone with the nails. Jim, what do you think?
I could do the nose hair.
I'll go with the nose hairs. I think you can get real creative with the nose hairs.
Okay.
I think it's manly.
Some braiding.
Manly.
Manly. You have a few nose hairs doesn't mean it like shows your age. You're really
Yeah.
wise. And
I think there's a maximum toenail length before it becomes too long and it breaks. Whereas nose
That's
hair
fair.
can just keep on going and going. I go toenails for that reason. I think it goes to a certain point, they break off,
And they
you
just
start
stop?
from scratch.
But
very thoroughly thought through there.
Imagine
I like
the
it.
cool mustache you could grow
Ooh.
if it came.
I like
Yeah,
that
braid
idea,
it.
Jim.
Yeah, like a handlebar mustache out of nose hairs.
You could
That
be
would
getting money for this.
Yeah.
Does Tara know how to French braid? She could French braid that
Yes.
bad boy up.
Yes.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure she would be happy to
Nice.
do that.
All right, so audience, who would do the long nose hairs? Like no one. Everyone else is doing the long toenails. Oh, okay, okay, that's gross. I was not expecting that at all. All right, Tyler, what's the next one? Make fart noises every time you take a step, or smell like a wet dog all of the time.
Fart noises. I think
Fart
I think
noises.
that's funny.
Oh man.
100% agree.
Everyone's going
Yeah,
fart
it is.
noises.
Yeah. Reed and Eric always think I fart all the time anyway. Anytime there's any squeak and I walk or I move, they're like, and
What?
I'm like, no,
Oh.
I didn't fart.
Wow, that's an interesting
They
household.
like
That's all
to
I'm gonna
accuse
say.
me, though.
Yeah.
You could start a YouTube channel with fart noises and make a lot of money out of it.
Isn't
Don't think
there
you could
one
do that
already?
by smelling like a dog.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't say they smell. I mean, that's important. It doesn't
no,
say
just
they
the noise.
smell.
It's just the noise,
It's
and I think
just a noise.
I didn't really do it.
Oh my gosh. Audience, would you guys agree with them? Would you do farts?
Let's see, who can we call on?
Oh yeah, Heidi, call on someone.
Let's see.
Who are you going to
is
embarrass
out there?
next?
Tyler Gaynor. What would you pick? Ken Smith. Back from vacation. You look very tan, by the way.
it doesn't say it doesn't
think Ken
specify.
was actually farting
Can we
with
take this
every
out of
step.
context?
The-
Like just hearing leaders shout, just farting.
These could be silent ones. It does not say.
Fart noises though. You just hear air.
Still a
My
noise.
goodness. That's too much. All right, let's go to the next one, Tyler. So sit next to someone who clips their toenails in class or work, so maybe even work for you guys, or sit next to someone who picks their nose and eats it. Those are both the worst things in the world.
This
What
one,
if they
this,
don't eat it and they just wipe it under
no,
their desk?
this one is easy. I think when you clip your nails, they can go anywhere. When you pick your nose, it's controlled. I sit next to somebody that picks their nose.
Big.
I think you know
Yeah.
exactly where that booger is.
Okay, so then what do you do when they come to shake your hand at the start of the day?
I'm fine with it.
Fist pump.
At least we
bump.
know that the guy picking his nose is cleaning up after himself.
I mean, that's true.
That's right. That's right.
I would say sometimes when I look under your chairs, guys, and like clean up a little bit, I see fingernails under the chairs. All right? I don't know who's clipping their fingernails on a Sunday morning or Wednesday night, but it's gross, so you should stop.
Also, impeccable vision. Holy cow.
And it's not that hard.
Okay.
It's not that hard. There's some gross kids out there. I don't know if it's middle schoolers or if it's high schoolers. Oh man, if you find one, let me know. Look under your chair, see if you find one tonight. We had a middle schooler actually find a full fingernail underneath her chair.
Ew.
A full one?
Yeah, it was like the fake one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, Benji Weiss, what do you pick?
I don't even know.
Sitting next to someone who picks their nose.
Okay. What was your answer, Heidi? I don't even know.
Let's see. Let's pick someone else. Landry, Landry, what do you go with?
She doesn't want to answer. She must be the nose picker then.
Rude. Carson, you gonna tell on her?
Oh my gosh. Tara, what do you?
I'm going against the grain and saying toenails.
Gross.
I'm averse to boogers. I don't know.
So just think though, what someone has to do in the middle of class to do their toenails. They're pulling their shoes and socks off
True.
in the middle of class. And they're like putting them up on their desk.
Oh, get those dogs back in there.
That's the worst.
This is an easy one. I mean,
Oh my
this
gosh.
isn't even-
Okay.
What if they're wearing flip-flops?
I mean, yeah,
They
they could
still
be wearing
brought their
flip-flops.
clippers
Okay, in the
to
middle
class.
of winter, Jamie.
I would definitely do the toenails. I don't want to sit next and watch someone eat their boogers.
You might be eating their toenails,
Oh
though.
my
It flies every
gosh.
which way.
I know it
but I
lands in
might
your
not
soup.
be.
All right, guys, we're gonna do one more really quick. Accidentally swallow a live goldfish. What? Or let a giant slug crawl inside your nose.
I'm swallowing a live goldfish. That's easy.
Yep, goldfish.
Goldfish, definitely
Goldfish.
Slides right down.
Oh my gosh.
It's like sushi.
I think that's pretty easy. I think for all of us, it is definitely going to be a goldfish.
Yep.
I don't think it would taste bad.
I don't even think you taste it.
Oh my gosh. Don't worry, for those of us going to Nicaragua, we're gonna have tons of slugs probably crawling in our noses. So,
What?
oh, I didn't tell you guys about that?
No.
Oh, that sucks. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, well, thank you guys for playing that rousing round of Would You Rather Gross Edition. I think we
Welcome.
learned,
Thank you, participants in the audience.
oh my goodness, I think we learned a lot about our leaders tonight. Maybe
did?
some things
Nothing
we wish we didn't learn from them. but that is perfectly fine. So I brought these awesome leaders up here tonight because these leaders are the ones who make the most money in their jobs. No, I'm just kidding.
Especially me.
Especially Heidi. Oh my goodness. No, honestly, I could have picked any of our leaders tonight, but these are just the ones that said yes right away. So, no, but I just wanted to invite these leaders up here just to give a little bit of their background as to how they ended up in their career or their job, or just kind of what they are doing now with their life, kind of what God has gifted them in, who's spoken into their lives to help them figure out how God has gifted them, and kind of how they made that decision for a career, for a job, and kind of what they have done since their time in high school and college, and kind of where they are currently. This is a huge thing for you guys to think through, because I don't know if you guys did the math yet, because I did, of how long you would potentially stay or be working at your job. If you exited high school, you exited college, and you started working 40 hours a week right away, anyone want to know how many hours you would end up working until retirement age? All right, it is 90,000 hours. 90,000 hours. That is an incredible amount of hours. So that is if you work full-time for the rest of your life. Some of you guys are not going to do that. You're going to be a millionaire by the age 40, so you're going to just retire. No, just kidding. Who knows? So this is a huge decision you guys will end up making in life. So I think it's really important for you guys to be intentional as you think through, well, am I going to choose a calling or am I going to choose a career? And those are your next fill in the blanks of what are you going to choose, a calling or a career? And you're kind of wondering, like, well, what does that mean? Like, what's the difference between a calling and a career? So as we talk through this tonight, I think one of the ways that we determine what that is we need to think through, how will I spend my life for the Lord and for His glory? What am I going to do with my life to honor and glorify God with the gifts and talents that He has given me? So as you think through this calling and career, it really comes down to a mindset and a heart posture. Are you going to choose a job just because of how much money you make, or the prestige you might get in this job and people looking up to you? Or are you going to identify, wow, God has designed me specifically to do this thing. He's given me gifts and talent and interests in this one thing. So I'm going to heart posture, God, I'm going to use these gifts you've given me to honor and glorify you, and to do the best that I can in everything that I do and seek to honor and glorify you. So that is kind of big picture what we're going to kind of talk about tonight, and hear from our leaders up here as to kind of how they came about their decision for a calling or a career, and how they've figured out, hey, this is what I'm good at, and the path that they took for that. So Jim, if you're okay, we're going to start kind of over here on my right side. So if you wouldn't mind kind of telling the students of like what your current job is, and kind of how you ended up there, what you discovered about yourself as you were, in high school or in college, and maybe people in your life that revealed to you, oh wow, I'm really good at this. So kind of any fun stories or anything, but yeah, go ahead and share with the students.
Well, so my job, my title is creative director, and I'm a creative director at an advertising agency. So that puts me on the creative side of marketing. So I get the fun job of coming up with ideas for commercials, print ads, billboards, social media campaigns. So how did I get there? I think as a kid, I was always a little bit on the creative side. I always liked to draw. When I was probably kindergarten, first grade, second grade, my best friend was like a really good drawer, and I was always fascinated by his talent. And it just made me want to like learn how to draw, and I, was drawing all the time. And, if you looked at my notes going through school, through high school, I was the doodler. I was always sketching and doodling in my on my notes, probably more doodles than words in my notes. And then I always loved art class through middle school, through high school. I had a class in high school with a teacher that saw something in me and encouraged me. His name was Mr. Azari. And he gave me special projects to do that would kind of challenge me in my creativity and drawing and painting and all that sort of stuff. And I just really loved it. But then when I graduated high school, I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with that and where it would take me if I even wanted to do anything with art. If I'm honest, I was into surfing, and I thought, man, it'd be so cool to move to Australia and open a surf shop down there, because those guys have really cool accents and there's really good surf there. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, that didn't last all that long. I ended up going to community college, which was maybe a little more popular on the West Coast, because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of trying to figure that out. I thought maybe architecture, that kind of weaved in a little bit of creativity. But I always was reminded of conversations with my art teacher, who had recommended an art school near me called Art Center College of Design in Pasadena. And so I don't know if I called them or if I wrote them. This is pre-internet, folks.
Whoa.
And actually, I actually had a brochure sent to me, and it was this really cool designed, in the mail. And I just remember devouring this brochure and all the different majors from, transportation design to fine art to film to photography to advertising. And man, this advertising stuff just really seemed pretty cool. And I just thought, man, here's an opportunity to sort of merge art and creativity with commerce. I could actually have a job and get paid while using my creativity. And so I stopped going to community college, and I immediately put together a portfolio to be able to get into the Art Center, and fortunately I got in. And so from there, I just loved my time there. The professors, the teachers were actually in the advertising business. So we would have classes at ad agencies, and we would show our work, and I just absolutely loved it. So after that, I got myself a job right out of school as an art director. And I worked at an agency in Los Angeles for 3 years, married my beautiful wife. We moved to Milwaukee a little over 20 years ago, and I've been at the same advertising agency here in town, and absolutely loved it. How have I used my creativity for the Lord? Well, I would point to Jamie and I would point to Aaron. Years ago, they would ask me for designs for things like Chillfest hoodies, and I was actually able to do that for several years. And given
we love that.
the talents that God has given me, I just have always enjoyed being able to do that and give that as a gift. So with that, maybe I'll leave it there, and maybe we can come back to more stuff.
Yeah.
Unless you had any more specific follow-ups.
Yeah, and I kind of love how you just commented, kind of your progression of going into school. You kind of decided, hey, maybe I just need to do community school for a little bit, kind of pump the brakes instead of just jumping into, oh man, everyone else is going to college. I need to pick somewhere and go there right away. But you kind of took a little bit of a break and like, all right, well, not a break, but you kind of like, all right, we'll do some community college, we'll do something productive, and then see what does God want for me. I think that's actually that is really cool, and I know that's something that is important for a lot of individuals out here of like, man, what am I supposed to do next? And you think college is always going to be like, I just got to go pick a 4 university somewhere. So
Absolutely.
I like that. Thank you so much for sharing, Jim.
Sure.
Tara, would you like to share with us kind of, yeah.
Okay. I started, let's see. I know Jim came to find what he wanted to do later in life. I knew when I was a little girl that I wanted to be in the medical field somehow. I was a nurturer, a caretaker. I was one of 4 girls. I was always, let's play doctor and let me take care of you, and bandaging and everything like that. So my mom was a nurse. I got to hear some of her stories, and that was fascinating to me. As I went through school, I love learning, and especially the sciences. The human body is just incredible and how it works, and I was just taken in by all that. So I thought about becoming a doctor, and then God had really put on my heart to be a mama, like a very deep desire. I love children with a passion and love babysitting and all that, and I wanted to have a lot of flexibility, career calling-wise, to be able to step back from working and be able to be a full-time parent. And so I went the nursing route. I went to school in Southern California, Azusa Pacific at the time, and became a nurse. So I jumped into cardiac nursing. We did a lot of medical and surgical and interventional. It was really exciting, and I loved it. A lot of benefits to nursing that I can talk about. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Flexibility, I've already mentioned. You can work part-time, full-time, weekends, office, school nursing, camp nursing. There are so many different avenues within the nursing profession that you can, if you get bored of one, you can jump to another. You can do babies, you can do adults, you can do cancer. ER, my daughter's doing a preceptorship in ER, and she's constantly calling me and telling me all the stories, and she loves it. She loves running to codes and doing CPR, and so there's a fit for all different interests. And so that's very exciting. Just the variety that's there, the flexibility that's there, and that very flexibility allowed me to work part-time for a while when we had little ones. I just worked a weekend or two a month, and then the other days I was home with my family. And eventually we came to a point where we actually started fostering extra little ones in our home, and with that came court dates and visits with bio families, and our calendar filled up, and we prayed about it and said, I'm gonna just be full stay-at-home mama. So that was back actually in 2008, so it's kind of been a little while. But what I love about nursing is the knowledge and skills that I gained have been very applicable in so many areas of life. So as a mom, you always have kids who are getting sick, have some random rash, whatnot. I have a lot to
Don't
learn.
come up to Tara if you have a random rash, okay? Not one of her kids.
The Bible actually says a lot about rashes and skin stuff.
It does.
It's crazy.
Yes, we did study that. Yes.
I did. But it's helped me as a mama. It's helped me. We've been able, as we've fostered in our journey, we've been able to foster and even adopt medically fragile kiddos and utilize those skills. It is an awesome profession to go anywhere in the world. So missionary-wise, there are so many closed countries that you cannot go into as a missionary, but if you go in as a nurse or a teacher, or you can get in and you can utilize your nursing or medical skills and knowledge. And I was able to go to Hospital of Hope in Togo, West Africa, and use my nursing skills. It had been a long time since I had practiced, and I was pretty nervous, and I said, okay, Lord, here's my fish and my loaves, and use whatever, and it was totally different. There was no cardiac patients. It was a lot of different types of ailments, but I was able to use it there too. And even most recently, we moved my husband's in-laws, or my in-laws, my husband's parents, here to the Milwaukee area from California as their medical and cognitive health has declined. And we felt very comfortable taking them on and taking care of them here, because I've been in the hospital system with a lot of our kiddos. So we felt comfortable to be able to do that together and as a family. So it's a profession that, I absolutely love, but it also has a lot of areas to serve. And I hope God is glorified in whatever knowledge and skills He's allowed me to have through nursing.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned that. It's something that was a passion of yours when you're really young, and you just saw that just kind of grow into, a career for yourself. And I love how you get to use that career just in daily life now. It's, even though you're not working in a hospital or working, in a doctor's office or something, you're able to still use that because it's a gift that God has naturally wired you to use. And by doing that, you're blessing your family, you're blessing foster children, you're blessing people in another country. And I think that's so unique that you get to use it for so many different aspects of life and ministry and just so many different people. That is incredible. And your own kids. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Tara. Yeah. Heidi, let's go right along with you. We'll do all the ladies.
Okay, just to make note, first off, you see that my feet are not touching the floor. I could have used maybe like a little footstool.
Oh my
or
goodness.
Something.
Okay.
I was figuring we can all laugh at that. It's okay. It's funny.
No one's laughing.
I was just teasing. No one's laughing at my joke, except for Casey. Thanks, Case. Well, my story, hopefully it'll get funnier. No, or more serious. I don't know. It's a little bit like Jim's. Not that I was a doodler, But I would say from like middle school on, I knew that I was relational. I was constantly talking. I was constantly talking in class. On, let's say, very, very rare occasion, I may have been removed from a class or two to go out into the hall for too much talking. So I knew it had to be something relational. So thank you for laughing, Baker. Somebody laughed at my jokes. You guys, like, you relax. Like, this is fun, Lacey. Come on. So I knew it was going to be something relational. I didn't know what, so I got a lot of encouragement from those teachers who kicked me out of class and that kind of stuff. But other than that, I also, too, did not know, like, exactly what right away, and I had to pay for my own way through school. So I did take a year off. I think you guys call it a gap year. We did not call it that then. We just called it you didn't have any money, so you worked. So you worked. And I did that for my first year. And then decided, I grew up in a very nice youth group, just like this one, that was very encouraging. But it seemed everybody wanted to go, a little bit like everybody wants to go to Cedarville here, everybody wanted to go to Bible college somewhere. And many of the people wanted to go into ministry. So it was kind of this wave of, so maybe I just rode the wave a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'll go to Bible college. So I went up to a Bible college in Minneapolis, kind of knowing I wanted to do something relational, didn't know what. Like, should I go into youth ministry? Should I go into mission? You know, like, what should I do? And just kind of took a smattering of classes that first year. And then, again, like Jim, had a teacher, my English teacher, who was from Germany. She kind of encouraged me. I wrote well, and she encouraged me in that, and she gave me a job in the writing center at school where people came in with their papers and I helped them, fix their papers and go through grammar and stuff like that. Not that I was really very good at grammar, but at writing in general, I guess. So she was very encouraging. So by the end of that school year, I thought, I think youth ministry, I probably wouldn't be super marketable as a woman at that time. So I think teaching, and she encouraged me in the English. So with that school actually didn't have secondary education. They just had elementary. So I came back here and went to UWM for a couple years where I got involved in the education and the English program there. When you teach secondary, you major in the subject. So I majored in English, got a lot of that done there at UWM. But then found out I had some friends at Whitewater, and they said they have a really good education school. So I ended up at a third school down at Whitewater, because they had a really good education program, and ended up meeting Eric there, who was an accounting major. And yes, after that, he graduated, I graduated. I graduated on December 20th, and we got married on December 27th. Christmas was in between there, I don't know if you know. And then I worked at MPS as, my minor. Becca Ellinger in here, she loves when I say that my major was English, my minor was library science. I know, it's so official.
What does that even mean?
So official. I loved the library. I love
For someone who likes to talk, that's like
in a
the
library.
worst.
No, I know it didn't really work. It didn't really work very well. And no library I was ever in was ever quiet. Even Eric will tell you that we would go to the library to study. Me, Eric, and my friend Luther. And Luther and I would walk around talking to everybody at the library that we knew, and Eric would be trying to study, and he'd be like, "You guys, be quiet. I have this test tomorrow." And I'd be like, "Oh, sweet." And then Luther and I'd be like this, trying not to laugh.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so Eric has been so good for me. Anyway, moving on. We're this. How many minutes do I get?
You're already -5.
Anyway, library science was my minor. I graduated. I got a job in MPS as a school librarian at a K-5 school here, but then we moved to Madison, where I also worked. I worked down in the Milton School District, where I was the school librarian for all their K-3 schools, and then I did spend some time as a 7th grade English teacher down there before Eric graduated, and we moved back to Milwaukee. When we moved back, that's where things kind of started to transition a little bit for me, is we came back and we were going to try to have children. It didn't happen for a couple years. we knew Eric's job was going to be very demanding, so I just did some little part-time stuff. I subbed in the Wauwatosa schools, and I worked at J. Crew at the mall, stuff like that until we had kids. So again, like Tara, a little bit of flexibility with the teaching. You have off summers, you can sub, when you sub, you can pick your days. It's awesome. So we did that until little Wesley came, and little Gabby and little Reed, and so I stayed home and transitioned to being, a full-time mom. And after a couple years of them being in public school, we made the decision to, by the leading of the Lord, to homeschool our kids. So we homeschooled them through the 8th grade, and then they all went off to Brookfield East. And yeah, what do I do now? That's what people ask me. What do you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm up here because I don't even have a job. What was interesting, though, about me teaching and having all that relational experience was I've been being able to use it in so many different places. And many of you know, too, that with homeschooling, we were involved in a homeschool group that was not a Christian group. Everybody was non-Christian in that group, and we would do field trips, and we started snowboarding with them, which is where then I was when we took lessons there, then the teachers encouraged me to teach snowboard, and I did that for 6 seasons. And in many areas, I know we were kind of talking about where the Lord has used it, and I've had so many opportunities to use my teaching and relational, even my library media skills, to advance the gospel and just minister to people. And I always think about my job at Little Switzerland was if I could be a chaplain, I think I was the chaplain of the hill, because it would be so funny. We had so much downtime when we weren't teaching. We would get to ride around in our free time. And maybe the other instructors would ride around, and they would always joke because I'd end up just standing at the top of the hill, ministering to someone or listening to this, one of the lift ops guys, his granddaughter has cancer, and you're just listening to his story and telling him you're going to pray for him. And I kind of got this reputation around the hill where I just knew everybody in all the areas, the rental people and the instructors and the lift op people, and just everyone around there. And it would always be my boss I had opportunities to give her books and share scripture with her and encourage her in raising her younger daughter. And so it really was a really cool opportunity that God let me do something I really love to do. And I still and I love teaching. You give me anything and I will teach it, whether it's the Bible or snowboarding. You teach me how to cook whatever. If you teach pickleball, I will teach you how to do it. And I just love seeing people grow and advance, whether it's in their faith or their snowboard skills. So
I love that.
Is my time up? Jamie didn't give me the
that was
buzzer.
honestly, that was perfect timing.
Good. I was watching the clock.
Yeah, great job.
Okay, Jim.
No, not yet, not yet. No, I love kind of both how you and Tara both shared, you had a season of life where you guys were working in a job in a career field, and you were intentionally using, the gifts that God has given you and the things that he allowed you to be interested in, and you've been able to use those outside of a working and making money environment, and you've been able to bless your kids with that, to do things with your kids, but also even after kids are kind of out of the house, specifically with you, Heidi, you're still using those innate gifts that God has given you. You're still using those in a way to honor and to glorify him and reach people out, on a ski hill and just help witness and share the gospel. And you're put in a position, and like you, Tara, as you went to the Hospital of Hope, you're using these gifts and talents God has given you to bring him glory, to point people to Christ and not just to yourself. And I think that's a huge part of this calling idea, is you're able to use that outside of an environment of just getting money and being paid in, and you're gaining this fulfillment from God because wow, I'm using these gifts and talents he's given me, and now I get to use it outside of a work environment, and I get to bless people. And you in turn usually become blessed. I know you've experienced that, Jim, as well, as you've done hopefully some hoodie designs and you see kids wear them out here. And it's just a really unique opportunity for, I think, the ladies and for the guys in this room as well, because who knows what your position is going to be in life, if you stay home with kids or if you're going to work a career. There's always a way for you outside of a job to honor and glorify God with the gifts and talents that he's given you. And I love those examples so far of that.
Thank you, Aaron.
You're very welcome, Heidi. Jim, let's go with the second Jim now.
So my story is a little less linear, I think, and it's a little bit more roundabout.
Wait, you thought Heidi's was linear?
Well then, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll try to do this without giving my whole testimony, but so I have always liked to understand how things work. I would always look at the back of things and say, oh, how is this working? How does this, what's making this run? So with that, like I just have a passion for learning and seeing how things run and work. But I struggled in school. I did not do well. I did not get good grades. And by the grace of God, I only got into one school. So I went to UWM, so I stayed local. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was distracted in high school with probably the same things a lot of you guys are distracted by. And I just wasn't focused. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have good grades. So my first year of school was really me just trying to figure things out. I started thinking I was going to go for physics. That didn't work, just because I realized, boy, there's a lot of math. So instead I decided to do economics, which is still a lot of math. And if you don't know this about me, like math does not come easy to me. It's not like a natural thing for me. I have to work really, really, really hard to understand abstract math. But for some reason, I had a really great professor that just really put a passion for economics on my heart. I loved being able to see the news and somewhat understand, what's actually going on, why does a business do this, or why does the Fed, do this with monetary policy, and it was just a fun thing, a cool way for me to see how things run. So in studying econ, which is again a lot of math, I had to do a lot of tutoring and studying on the side to just get by. But I also realized you can't really get a job with an undergrad in econ. You kind of got to get a doctorate in order to get a job in that field, which I did not want to do because again, math.
Yep.
So I added a business degree, which I thought, okay, I can use this to get a job. And I still studied econ because it was a passion of mine, something that I found interesting. Like I said, I stayed in the area because I only got into one school, which allowed me to date Jenny, who is my wife. And I'm grateful for that, not only because she's amazing and helps keep me on the straight and narrow and lifts me up and builds into me, but also I was able to overhear a call that her father was on, where he was discussing how the economy was affecting the business that he worked at, and I thought, that's it. That's what I want to do. And so I was able to get a job out of school in that field. And through the progression of different jobs and different locations, I'm still in that field, which I'm grateful for, and that allows me. My calling is not what I do. So my calling is a father and a volunteer at this church, and my job gives me the flexibility to be able to do that. And it gives Jenny the flexibility to stay home and raise our girls. So my job allows me to do my calling.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, there's this really cool aspect of, and this is kind of a little bit later in my talk for tonight, but like as Jim has said, his identity isn't built in his job. His job doesn't define who he is. It doesn't define who any of the people up on the stage are, or even any of the leaders out in the room right now. But your identity is in Christ, and Christ has called you to a number of things in life, and he's called you to be a husband and a dad and a father and eventually, a grandfather. Oh boy. But that is the number one. And he's been given this, ability to work and provide the opportunity to do those things well. And I love how you end with that. That's incredible. And I think a good mindset for all of us to think through of that is our first calling. And our identity is first rooted in Christ, who he is and what he has called us to do now because of that different life. And I also love how you mentioned kind of through your little journey there, if you didn't know exactly what it was you wanted to do right away. And it's for you guys, it's okay if you're not I know what I'm going to do as a junior in high school, or even if you're in college, as Jim said, he was in there for a little bit before he's overheard a conversation and is wait, actually, I like that. Now I'm going to focus on that and pursue this as a career. You don't have to have it all figured out right away. I know your parents are probably going to be oh, you've got to have it all figured out. I think you could ask a lot of your parents or even leaders in this room, and some of them are probably even working in a field that they didn't go to school for. I think you'll see that in a lot of the world today, because some people they go to college right away, they get a degree because they think, oh man, I can make a lot of money in this, or I think this is interesting, or whatever it might be, or other people might think this is cool, and then you start doing it and you're I hate this. I don't enjoy doing this whatsoever. And then they end up changing and realizing, oh, actually, I'm gifted in this, or I have an interest in this, and you get to switch and work in a job that you're oh, wow, I really enjoy this. I think God has gifted me to do this. So I like that. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thanks.
So I'll open this up to all four of you. Is there any kind of extra last-minute advice you would like to share with the students as far as kind of choosing a career, or how you kind of decided on what you decided, or just encouragements to them, or maybe just a last little piece of advice for them?
I just think of Colossians 3:23, and whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as for the Lord. And that's what I've tried to tell my kids. However God leads, your primary purpose is to bring glory to him. You can do that in whatever career that you are in. You are surrounded by people who need the Lord. And whether you live it, whether you've given opportunities to speak truth and share the gospel, whatever you do it for the Lord. And he can use you mightily in whatever vocation, whatever calling he has over your life. So,
thank you.
Yeah, mine would be similar to that. As leaders, we usually have a lot of students, whether they've graduated or you guys now will ask us advice on, oh, should I go to this school or that school? I can't decide. Or do I go into this, like Jim going, I know I'm good at math, or not good at math, so what should I go into? Kind of thing. And I always tell them, and I've told my kids as well, if you're doing it for the glory of the Lord, you are on the right track. Because when you do it for the glory of the Lord, you're going to answer all those questions. You're going to seek wise counsel. You're going to look at, how did God create me? You are going to do all those things. You're going to think about, the financials. How would I honor God with my financials and not overextend myself with huge loans and try to do it, debt-free? So if you are in it to honor the Lord and you've done those things and you're looking at 2 schools, or you're looking at 2 majors or minors, or maybe even 2 guys that you're, thinking about dating. If they want to honor the Lord and you want to honor the Lord, go with that, and he'll shut doors where doors need to be shut if you are looking to glorify God with what you do. So keep that as your main focus.
Yeah, thank you. And she did not say date 2 people at once.
No, not at once.
That is not what she said.
If there's 2 options,
that is not what she said.
and they're both good.
Just wanted to make that very clear.
Just go whichever one you think is cuter. If they both want to honor the Lord.
All right, turn her mic off. All right.
Sometimes the things you love come easy, and sometimes you have to work really hard for them. I love my job, but it didn't come easy, and I had to work really hard for it, and that's okay. I don't think it's correct to say, you find what the intersection of what you love and what you're good at is always the right way. I just so happened to love something that I wasn't naturally good at, and I had to get good at it. That's okay, I think. You can go to a school and figure things out. You don't have to have it all put together that first year. There's a lot of options. Don't waste your money, but use that time to kind of figure stuff out, and that's okay. If you go to one school and not the other, you'll be fine. If you take one math class and not the other, that's fine. You'll be fine. You guys are young. There's a lot of time to correct mistakes. You don't sweat it. I know there's a lot of anxiety with picking the right school, picking the right major, taking the right classes. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Don't sweat that. And when you get into a job, to Tara's point, work is good, right? God created work before sin, so work is good. Enjoy work. Enjoy what you're doing. And regardless of what you're doing, be a light to those around you. I work in a corporate setting. I'm not out, on the mountaintop. I'm not doing what Case does. I'm not out, preaching the word. But what I do is I encourage and I bring joy to the workplace, and that's easy for me. So you can be a light to those around you by doing what comes naturally if you're living for the Lord, right? Just being a joyful person, encouraging those that look down. Like, you can do that easily, and that's okay.
Yeah. You guys are just writing, doing my lessons. This is great. I love this. Do you have anything else?
I wish I had more to add. I think they kind of covered it. I mean, again, the workplace is a mission field, and you can honor him anywhere in any job. So
I love that.
that's all I would leave with.
Yeah. Whether you're making, designs and you're advertising things, you're, helping people who come into the ER or anywhere in a hospital, or helping people in a library. No, I'm just kidding. No. It's but anything that you guys
with
do.
the Dewey Decimal System,
Oh my goodness.
help you find your book.
Yeah, so you guys can be, out there cutting lawns. You can be, out there in the stock market, making trades. You can be doing finance somewhere. You can be someone in a mission field somewhere, or, a pastor, or someone just having a normal job at Burger King. You guys don't go to Burger King. Maybe Chick-fil-A, sure. Any of those jobs you can use as an opportunity to share the gospel. It is all a platform for us to share the gospel, to share the amazing gift that Christ has given to us and share that with those people. And show the fruits of the Spirit in those workplaces. All of these workplaces that they have mentioned, they all have really dark areas in them, where there's unbelievers, people who are seeking the things of this world. And that is an opportunity for you as a believer to enter in as a light and as an example of who Christ is. And you get to point them to him. So you're not only there to make money, to allow your family to do things and to live in this world, but you're there and have been placed there by God to show them the gospel through your actions, through how you treat them, how you speak to them, how you encourage them. And that is so important for us to understand and for you guys to think through tonight. So thank you, leaders, so much for coming up here and just sharing your history and your life. I'll let you guys go take a seat. Before I kind of wrap up with a few quick bullet points, I just have a really quick video for you guys to watch that'll kind of illustrate what we've been talking about already so far.
I can't figure out if I should be a missionary or go into finance. Could you show me a sign?
Well, I did. I made you really good at math and finding hidden value that nobody else sees. And, I don't know many other 20-year-olds that really love economic podcasts. Isn't that a sign?
I don't want to live for money. I want to do something important.
Well, yeah, that's a given. Living for money is a terrible choice. But don't you see all the reform that's needed in the financial system and all the people that are in those jobs that are reaching out and searching for my love and truth? I gave you these passions and talents so that you could be there to reach them.
Do you hate me, God? Why are you so far away?
You know the right thing to do. I think you might just feel a little bit guilty because you think being a missionary is the only real way to be a Christian.
I don't know. Maybe you're not real.
Okay. Gabriel, can you send an angel down there, have him knock a Bible open to Jeremiah 29:11 or something? Johnny is starting to spiral.
All right, hopefully that is just comical for you guys, but I think a lot of us, as we think through a career or a job for the rest of our life, maybe the rest of our life, that like sometimes we kind of panic about that, of how can I like do a job that is going to give God honor and glory? How am I going to feel used by God in my job? And we think like it has to be in the mission field or it has to be at a church working somewhere. But clearly it doesn't. All of these leaders that were up here tonight, none of them work at the church. Yes, Tara did go, to the Hospital of Hope, and she used her gifts there on the missions field. But they all have used their workplace, the place that God has put them, to share the gospel, to be a light to them. And I already explained that to you guys tonight, but that is so important for you to understand, that you can still be used by God no matter where you end up, whether you're in a job or whether you feel called to stay at home and be with kids and raise them and provide an environment that is loving and nurturing and caring for your kids or for your spouse. Like, you can give God honor and glory through all of that. Something that's very important I want us to think through tonight as we continue. We're going to skip through a couple things tonight because the leader shared most of my talk, which is incredible. It's exactly what I wanted them to do. But something I want you guys to notice is none of the leaders up here mentioned how much money they made, right? None of them mentioned like, ooh, I make like this much every single week, or this is how much I make as a salary every year. Like, that's not something they talked about tonight. So remember, like, don't pick your job based on how much it makes. Right? Obviously, you want to be able to support a family. I totally understand that. But if you are gifted to work in a job or you choose to work in a job that makes a lot of money, guess what? That is not a sin. It's not a sin for you to pick a job or to go into a field that makes a lot of money. That is totally fine. But what does Jesus tell us in Matthew? He tells us that it is going to be harder for someone who makes a lot of money, who is very wealthy, to enter the kingdom of God, because they have probably set their eyes on worldly wealth. So I want you guys to understand, if your job makes a lot of money, that is not a bad thing, but just know that there is a greater potential for you to idolize that money that you're getting in that job. To be like the other people in that field that you're working, to buy the next best car or the next best house or do a certain vacation, and then your mind is going to be focused on that wealth and what that wealth gains you, and not on serving and honoring God in what you do. So remember that. You can clearly make or work in a job that makes a lot of money, but it is going to be harder for you to say no to those worldly desires and pleasures that money would offer you. So just be careful. But I want you guys to understand, you can totally go out and find a job that makes you like $20 million a year. It's totally fine. That is not where I am at right now, but that is okay. As we talked earlier, there's a couple things for you guys to think through when you guys are coming to the decision of what job you guys might have. I want you to think through, what interests do I have? There's a lot of the leaders up here had said, like, they had an interest that they had noticed when they were younger. They just love to draw or love taking care of kids and healing them and doing bandages and caring for people. Like, that is something I want you guys to identify. What am I actually interested in doing? What interest has God given me to start with? Jim found his out a little bit later. Like, that's okay. You don't have to know that now. But one thing I would encourage you guys in is kind of be looking. Look around the world that you guys live in. There are brand new jobs created, like new types of jobs created every year in areas that you're like, how could this even be a job? Like, how is this even a thing? Like, those start every single day. But I want you guys, as you're in high school, to just be looking around. What are the different kinds of jobs that I could do? What are different things that interest me? This is your opportunity to try out so many things. When you try out things as an adult, it gets a little bit more expensive and it's kind of hard. But as you guys are in high school, you guys can spend time figuring out, well, what interests do I have? How can I engage in these interests? It might be animals. It might be, money management or wealth management. It might be economics, as Jim had mentioned. It might be teaching Bible or theology, or it could be medicine, or it could be something creative. Like, engage in those. See, like, wow, let me take this a couple steps further. Like, could this be something that I could have as a job later in life? The next one is, what skills and talents have you been given by God? So if you guys actually look, we studied this in Exodus when we went through it a couple months ago. We had this incredible section where Moses is about to build the tabernacle. And we see this really cool section in Exodus 35, verses 34 through 35. It says, then Moses said to the Israelites, see, the Lord has chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. Verse 31, he has filled him with the Spirit of the Lord, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs of work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work the wood, and to engage in all kinds of artistic crafts. And he has given them both, him and Oleb, son of Ashmach, of the tribe of Dan, the ability to teach others. He has filled them with this skill of all kinds of works, as of engravers, designers, embroiderers, and blue and purple scarlet, yarn and fine linen, and weavers, all of them skilled workers and designers. From the very beginning, even as Jim had mentioned, when you guys look in Exodus, work was created by God. Work was created by him. And as we jump into Exodus, we see that God has gifted and skilled people for specific things. He gifted them to build God's temple. And then we see, once we get into the New Testament, we see that once we accept Christ, we've already been created with these specific talents, but then we receive the Holy Spirit, which gives us special gifts to glorify God with and to expand his kingdom here on this earth. And we see that God is continues to build into us talents and skills that we get to use to point others to him. Not to glorify ourselves, make money for ourselves, but to glorify God. As Heidi had mentioned, we've gone through the Created You series with some of you guys over Chill Fest when you guys are probably in middle school or if you're here for the journey. And you got to go through these tests and figure out, how has God gifted me? What are those things that he has wired in my brain and in my heart that I'm good at? Maybe those are some things I should pursue as a career. There's this new book that Casey actually showed me. He was over at Dave Ramsey's incredible facility, and there's this new book. I think it's kind of new. It's by Ken Coleman. He's one of the personalities at Dave Ramsey, and he has this really cool book that says, Find the Work You're Wired to Do. And it's this really incredible kind of assessment or test that you can take that asks you questions just like Strength Finders of how has God gifted you? What are the things that he's kind of wired your brain to be able to do? And then it gives you a list of, you might want to look at this career field. There might be a job for you in this career field, and you can use these gifts God has given you to bring him honor and glory and praise. And I'd love you guys to kind of check this out. I actually don't know how much this book is. I don't think it's too expensive, but I think it's an opportunity for you to dive into, all right, how has God created me? If you're really struggling with figuring out what kind of job you want as an adult, this might be a great resource for you to see, wow, I'm gifted in these things. I really like doing these things. Where could those maybe work together to be a job for me later in life? And then our last point for tonight, guys, because we got to go really fast, is as you guys seek a job and a career, I want you to think through, how am I going to give him glory through all that I do? Whether it is at the job, whether it is at home, whether it is using your gifts and talents that you use for work, but you get to use them elsewhere to bring God honor and praise. As some of the leaders mentioned, we have a couple of verses here. Obviously, one of them was from Tara in Colossians, but we have some incredible sections of scripture here for you in 1 Corinthians 10:31. So whether you are eating or drinking or whatever you are doing, do it all to the glory of the Lord. So it doesn't matter what job you have. It honestly doesn't matter what you are doing in life. Whether you're a student right now, whether you'll be a mom or a dad later in life, or a husband or a wife, a t-ball coach, maybe a softball coach, whatever it's going to be, do it for the glory of God. Do it so that you are working for him, not for yourself. And then Matthew 5:16, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. For you to be able to go to the workplace and to treat others in a way that they could see God the Father through you is incredible. For a lot of people that you will work next to, they may never open God's word. They may never open their Bibles. They may never go to church, but you might be the only opportunity for them to see Christ. Doesn't matter what job you have, but you have the opportunity to point them to God with how you act, how you treat them, how you use the fruits of the Spirit and show them to your coworkers. It's going to be really hard sometimes. I'll be honest. It's really hard sometimes to do that all of the time. You're going to have seasons of work that are really hard, and you're going to have to work hard at loving those around you. But you know what? God has called you to do that. He has called you to do difficult things sometimes. But how much glory would he get if you show your coworkers love and grace, patience and kindness and gentleness? That is not what the work culture is in our world today. As you keep on reading through this, you see so many other definitions here and verses that call us to live our lives for God, to live our lives in a way that we get to sacrifice for him in whatever we do. So for me, a verse that stuck out so much and has been a life and theme verse for me is Romans 12, 1-2. Therefore, in view of God's mercy, offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. I pray tonight that you guys understand that you can allow that mentality to go into the workplace, to go into whatever God is calling you to do with your life. So I want you guys to think through how can your future job or life pursuit align with these verses above? How can you make that intentional choice to whatever job or career you do? God, how can I give you glory through this? How can I point others to you through this job that I have? How do I get to use this new opportunity, this new group of people that you've placed me in to point them to you? Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. We don't get to take the money that we make at our job. We don't get to take the car that we're able to buy or the vacation we go on and take that to heaven. But by you being an example of Christ to those in your workplace, and for them to see, wow, something's different about you. Why are you so different than me and everyone else? You're not stressed out in life, and you have this peace that I don't understand, this joy I don't understand, and you get to share the gospel with them, and they accept that amazing gift of Christ on the cross and what he did for you. They could have that same thing. You could see them in heaven someday. That is a thing that will last eternally. Rust and moth will not destroy that. But he celebrates us when we get to use our gifts and talents he's gifted us with to honor and to glorify him. Every single thing that we do. I pray that you guys can do that and understand that as you're looking for a job, as you're trying to think through where you go to school. Yes, it's going to be easy to focus only on that. But if you also have a mindset of, God, how can I give you the most glory with my life? How can I point others to you the best? And it's going to be following the gifts that he's given you, the interests that he's given you. You're going to be able to do that so much more effectively. I hope and pray that you guys can be intentional as you seek that. As you seek the counsel of those around you. Many of our leaders had mentioned someone in their life has spoken to them and said, hey, you're good at this. Like, maybe you should pursue that. Are you surrounding yourself with people who can speak into you like that? Who can encourage you and tell you, hey, I've noticed that you're good at this. Maybe you should pursue this as a calling or as a career. Are you able to do that with those people that you call as friends? Have you told them, hey, I've seen you're really good at this? That could be the thing that gets them to realize what God is calling them to do with their life. That's what happened to me. God gave me a calling in my own quiet time. He said, I want you to do this. And then 3 other people in my life without me telling them, had mentioned, hey, have you ever thought of doing this? Have you ever thought of working with students, with teenagers at church? You're really good at that stuff. And God confirmed his word and his Spirit speaking to me through those around me. Would you guys be one of those people who identifies what your friends are good at? That might be what they need to hear to truly decide, wow, God's been working on my heart and my mind. And now this person has said this to me. Like, maybe I actually need to engage in that. Maybe I need to pursue that and see, is that what he's gifted me to do for a calling or a career? Let me close with some prayer so we can get to worship. Dear God, I just thank you so much for the testimony of these leaders up here tonight. And God, they're seeking you in all that they do. God, they are seeking you in what they do in their jobs, and they're able to just give you glory for it. They have understood that you have given them talents and gifts that they get to use to spread your gospel and your fame to those around them. God, I pray the students in this room tonight can use this as an opportunity to think about work and a job in a different light. God, I pray that they are just surrendered to you as they do this. They think through the things that they have already been gifted by you, the interests they have, not so they can go and make money, but so they can bring you glory. God, as I think through these students, I pray that you challenge them all to go into the workplace with a different mindset than anybody else. God, just think how our community would be changed, our workplaces would be changed if these students hold to these verses and these scriptures that they have in their notes tonight, God. That if they truly give you glory and honor and praise through every single thing that they do, they'll start shaping their community they're in, the workplace they're in, God. How incredible would that be if they fully surrender to you in those areas? God, give these students courage as they go out into their weeks and they think through how you've gifted them. God, speak to them clearly, give them discernment and peace. God, I pray that you just bless these students in their pursuit to honor and glorify you in all they do. God, we lift all these things up in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.